And we are live with episode 118 of the Start Bill Grow Show. We are excited to be back. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Our co host, Randy Brothers, will not be with us today. He's actually taking Elite Roofing, the sales team, on their annual trip. So, pretty much what happens is if anybody on their team hits their sales goals, they get to go on some trip. So last year they did heli skiing. They take a helicopter, they go to the top of the mountain, and then they go down from there. Let's see here.
Crazy, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
right. Well, so last time Randy broke his wrist. So
I did not know that.
so Randy was way back there, right? Like you go deep for this backcountry stuff, right? When you're doing the heli skiing, and from there he's shredding it up, man. And I guess he fell on something, and there was a rock. Boom, dude, wrist went down, and he broke his wrist. So he was
No
out of condition.
way.
Yeah, but I mean, he loves snowboarding, and I'm pretty sure everybody on his team loves snowboarding. You know, we talk about company culture here. I think pretty much everybody on his team is a fan of snowboarding out there. So, and we still,
Oh,
and
that's
speaking of,
huge, man.
well, speaking of which, we gotta get you out here. We got Bailey Masters out here in Alabama. When are you coming out to do some snowboarding, my friend?
Hey, man, I'm going to be there as soon as I can get there, brother. I wish we could have squeezed some in last time.
100%, man. I agree, 100%, man. Well, hey, Bailey, thanks so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. We actually had a chance to meet in January at the Roofing Academy Mastermind. And at that point, you were just a couple months into your business, and I was talking, man, and I said, hey, I'll tell you what, let's set some goals. You hit the goals, and we'll bring you on the show. And sure enough, what did you do? You crushed those
Hit the
goals,
goals,
man,
baby.
and we got you on the show. Not in September, man, right? We got you in early onto the show,
Made
so
it early, man.
congratulations on that. Now, Billy, we always like to start with kind of your background, sharing about who you are and how you got in the space, right? Uh, how did you get into roofing, man?
Man, it's a crazy story. So you always hear people talking about, I didn't find roofing, roofing found me. And that's kind of what happened in my scenario. You never grew up as a kid thinking, hey, we're about to get into the roofing industry and make a killing. You're like, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, man, it just wasn't feasible for me. And I actually stumbled upon an old friend that was doing some canvassing for a pretty big company in Birmingham. I had no idea what it was. So I was like, yeah, I can make a few extra bucks just knocking on doors. So I'll do that. I did that for, probably 8 or 9 months, and then got into the insurance sales side, worked for State Farm for a little while, then decided to go back to school. So fast forward about a year, I was getting ready to sign up for my next semester, and my stepdad worked for another big roofing company in Birmingham. So um, he said that I could probably come on as a project manager, which is what he was doing. And so I was like, all right, let's go. So I started that and ended up just not even getting back into school because I saw the money that I was making there. And
Mm-hmm.
that was in 2015. So I was still pretty young at that point. I mean, I was almost 20 years old when I started. I was still 19 at Easy Roof. So I worked there
And that's what you
until,
were doing in project management.
yeah, sales and
Mm-hmm.
project management. That was our title, but we worked the deal from the beginning and saw it
Yep.
through. So it was a fun job, man. I learned so much at that company, and I just over time kind of got burnt out. I'm a person that you have to keep my interest or I'm getting burnt out quick. So I guess it's part of that AI personality. I don't know, but
100%. Need to stay
yeah, man.
stimulated, right?
So exactly, exactly. So September of 2018, I got offered a job at a local supplier, and I figured, hey, I'll get to know more of the back end side of the business. So I went to work at that company, Oxford Lumber, here in town. It was a great experience, got some great knowledge, and then just kind of hit that burnout phase again after about a year. So I was just sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, I know how much money is in roofing because I've seen it. And it's like, I can't stand being controlled. I can't stand really like authority if it's something that I don't agree with. So I
Yep.
was like, I need to be my own boss for my own self fulfillment. So at that point, I just started researching and researching. And that's when I ran into the Roofing Academy or the Start Build Grow Show
Mhm.
podcast, and then came onto the Roofing Academy. And that's when, kind of everything just started falling into place for me. So I watched those podcasts, or I listened to them. Like, I was working for Oxford Lumber, man, just riding around in my company truck with the podcast, just on like episode after
Dude,
episode. Yeah, man. So I
that's
learned
the
as much as I
best.
could. Yeah,
How
exactly,
long you
dude.
been listening? How long you been listening then to the show, you think?
I would say it was probably exactly a year ago today. I
A
was
year ago?
riding around in my company truck, just preparing myself. So finally, I made the move and opened my LLC and all of that. And I was going to try to maintain that job for a little while until I got the wheels going.
Yeah.
But, small town, word travels fast, and the bosses found out. And I understand, conflict of interest and things like that, being a company and competing with the person I'm supposed to be selling product to. So it
Mm.
makes sense. And I was like, okay. So they gave me an ultimatum, and I chose to do my own thing. And it was very scary, but I'm thankful
Mhm.
for my wife, Elena, man. She supported me and told me she believes I could do it. So talked to a couple of mentors of mine, and they were like, man, if you don't do it now, you'll probably never do it. So I was like, all right, let's just do it. Turned in
There's
all my
never a right
company
time to do
stuff,
it.
and
There's never a
exactly,
right
man.
time to
So I
do it,
just
right?
took off. Yep.
How important was that to have that kind of support, people close to you, kind of building confidence and believing in you when you're starting your own company?
Oh, it was extremely important. I could not have done it without my family and my wife and everyone like that. So
Mhm.
I think for me, I have all of these ideas and things that I want to make happen, but I need a lot of help putting them into place, and uh, just kind of I'm just so scattered. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
when other people tell me that they can see it working and things like that, like I almost need you to make the decision for me. Like, here's what I think, but I'm indecisive. Help me choose. So when I got
100%.
the affirmation, yeah, I just felt like it was, you know, the perfect time. So, or as perfect as it could have been. So I took
Well,
the risk, man.
one thing that I think helped you be successful so quickly, you had great success. You've been in business for less than a year. Is you had two jobs that you did roofing sales, two different companies you did roofing sales at. You worked for an insurance company and you worked for a supplier. Going into this, especially at a young age, I mean, you're probably what, 24 when you started this. You're 25 now. What
Yep.
what advantages do you think that having that experience gave you?
Well, I think it was actually a huge advantage. For one, I could never have done what I'm doing now without the prior experience, mostly from Easy Roof, because I was there for 3 years, and I just learned when I started at Easy Roof. I didn't know the difference between a hip and a ridge and a starter shingle. I knew nothing about roofing, so they just gave me an opportunity, and I studied and studied and learned and figured out what I need to do, and got pretty good at it. So then by the time I learned what I learned at Oxford Lumber, it really helped me then when I started my company, learn how to leverage the suppliers and the manufacturers to get added incentives and things like that I wouldn't have even known before had I not had that job.
Hmm.
So everything just kind of fell into place and lined up perfect for me, man. And like I said, it's not the life I would have ever envisioned for myself, but it's man, it's been a blessing beyond belief. So
Hmm.
can't complain.
What about at a sales standpoint, right? Because whenever you get into a new sales role, right, it's difficult to kind of get your mojo, I guess, in a way, right? You have to kind of figure out, the customer, what your competitive advantages are, right? What you have to offer your customers, right? All that kind of stuff. What did you learn in the sales position specifically that helped you be successful in the beginning? Because at the end of the day, man, when you start a company, you need revenue ASAP, right? And so, what's a
Yeah,
great way to do that? Be good at sales.
that's
So,
right, man.
what did you learn in your sales roles that you were able to kind of take into the business owner role where you're kind of doing everything?
Well, in the sales roles, I learned, especially at the company that I was with before, because we had hundreds of 5-star Google reviews, Home Advisor, all of that. So I knew what the company brand meant and how important that was, and good reviews, good customer feedback, good customer response. So I went into it knowing that. And then the things that I learned just listening to the podcast and everything like that, led me to sitting here today, because it was just invaluable knowing, you know, how I should get started, who I should hire first, when I should plan to grow, how I should plan to grow, and all these things that I'd kind of had in my mind before I actually took off. So that was great. And I just took the sales experience, and I was kind of rusty because I was working on relationships at the supplier. So I dealt with the same people
Yeah.
every day, and I had been out of this kind of sales for a year. So I went on my first sales call, and I left. My very first appointment when I started my company, I went to it and I left, and I was like, that was so awful. Like, how am I going to make any money? And then the lady calls me like 30 minutes later, and she's like, hey, we decided to go with you.
No, she did
And
not.
yes. And she says, when can you start? And I
No,
was
she did
like
not.
jumping for joy, man. I about had to pull over the truck, but it was my very first sales call when I opened my company, and I closed it. So that felt amazing.
Huge confidence lift. I mean, so I remember, so I first started, I was in software sales for a while, right? And they give you this script to read off, and you do a demo. So you share your screen with the person, and then you run through your demo, and then you go for the close, right? And so I believe I was talking to like a plumbing company, and I was selling this marketing automation tool, and she lets me go through my whole spiel. Right, it's like a 25-minute pitch or something like that, where I talk about the features and benefits of this thing. And at the very end, she goes, "You were sharing your script the whole time, just to let you know." So the script the script was actually what was on the screen, not the demo. But then I followed up with her the next day, and she closed.
That
And,
is awesome, bro.
and I was like, "Thank God!" I was like, "Whew." But I mean, it gives you a huge confidence lift, right?
That's
I mean,
right, man.
what about for the now you're at a standpoint when you're actually building out your sales team, right? Where you have a couple salespeople that are out working for you and stuff like that under the top tier brand. What advice do you have for people who are just getting into the roofing sales game?
I would say just find someone that is really knowledgeable, that performs, that hits their numbers, and just kind of follow their lead, man. One thing that I've learned that's huge is just finding someone that is where you want to be or close to where you want to be, and just staying right behind them,
Mm-hmm.
and getting as much knowledge as you can, getting as much experience as you can. So, man, I would just say learn. When you get home at night, don't turn on the Xbox, turn on YouTube or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
just learn sales tactics and learn your product knowledge is far, that's the most important thing. So I would say product knowledge, getting like a sales pitch together that you can kind of course, cater to each customer, but it'd be the same, similar every time. And then that's when you can kind of get your law of averages. If I do this exact same thing every time, how often does it work? So how many times do I need to do it to get my result? So
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many things that go into it. But I would just say it's a slow start, especially when you're commission based only. Um, Hang in there, do the right things, keep your customers happy, and then all the success and money will just follow with it.
Mm-hmm. So you start your company, you're 2 months in, and you show up to the Roof Academy Mastermind, right? When
That's
there's a
right.
bunch of these contractors in all different sizes, and you name it, they were there, right? Why did you decide to go there, and what kind of impact did networking with other contractors early on have for you and your business?
Well, I think for me, when I was just, like I said, I was listening to the podcast religiously. I'd probably heard every episode. And I think at that point, you guys were on maybe episode 80, like in
Well,
the
yeah,
70s or 80s. So you had been around for a while, but not nearly where you are now. So I was just listening. I probably listened to all of them, but when I found out about the conference, I was like, I've got to be there. Like I want to
yeah.
learn these things. And Randy's built this amazing company. So how can I get to that point as well? So I was like, I got to make it happen. I mean, I think in my business account at that point, I may have had like 15 grand in there. And,
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
awesome, man.
I don't even care. I got to risk it and just pay for this ticket and get a plane out there and just go. So, man, I get there, and I was, you know, I felt way over my head. I walk in and see all these companies that have, doing millions of dollars a year, and just people from really all over the country, man. I met my buddy Joe, and he's all the way out in Pennsylvania. There was a
Yep.
lot of local Denver contractors there, but I think when I walked in, I felt way over my head, but then I just realized that, hey, man, I feel like I kind of belong here. Even though I'm just getting started, I can see myself getting to where these people are. So just try to
Hmm.
take in as much knowledge as I could, network as much as I could. I met Latif there, built a good relationship with him, and eventually signed on with his company, Boss Up Solutions. So, it was just a really great experience for me. We had an excellent time, man, and I built some great, probably lifelong relationships.
It was a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, you and Joe Lester, are one of my favorites because Joe had a similar situation in a way, but
That's
he
right.
didn't even start his company at that point, right? So Joe was listening to the show. He won tickets to Job Nimbus, right? We'll actually talk about them as one of our sponsors here shortly, but he wins tickets to the Job Nimbus Solution Summit, right? He wins the tickets there. He talks to us there, and he gets so hyped up that he quits his roofing sales job and he starts his own company, right? And he ends up hitting his goal the first year, and now he's on pace to 2.5x what he did last year. So,
Crazy.
dude, that is my favorite part by far of the show. And this is a good time actually right now to thank our sponsors. Of course, this wouldn't be possible without them. And our lifetime sponsor, pretty much at this point, Job Nimbus. It's the CRM that Randy was able to build his entire company on. Right? If you look at Randy's company with Elite Roofing, they had drastic growth, right, in a short period of time. They were kind of steadily growing, and all of a sudden, boom, drastic growth. In order to be able to handle that kind of growth and have scalability, you need to have a customizable CRM, right? So if you guys are interested in learning more, make sure you guys check out Job Nimbus at jobnimbus.com. And one of our new sponsors actually is, I think, probably in terms of technology and apps in the roofing space, it's got to be the number one. It seems like anybody in the insurance game at all uses Company Cam, right? So as a contractor, you're managing a ton of jobs every day, and you're trying to keep up to speed. You're trying to make sure the work actually gets done, right? It doesn't take up too much time. And that's where Company Cam comes in. So every photo or video you take at a job is automatically organized by location and instantly synced from the field to wherever you are. Now you'll know exactly what's happening across your company, be able to communicate more effectively, and cover your butt from future claims. So you can document your jobs, communicate with your crews, and protect your company, all with Company Cam, the only app that every contractor needs. Now, Company Cam is completely free, so discover what plan fits your company's needs and claim your free account at companycam.com/SBG show, right? And do you use Company Cam?
I use Company Cam every day, every single
Yeah.
day.
What do you think?
I think it's amazing, man. I have a funny story. I was talking to one of my subs about 2 weeks ago, and I love Company Cam because you can separate all of the photos. Because I can go through my actual photo app. Yeah, you want to see my son, my daughter, my wife, whatever. This hole in one I almost hit a couple of weeks ago. But I can't find it because there's pictures of roofs everywhere, man. So company is awesome because first of all, it declutters your actual camera roll for things you care about, and second of
Mm-hmm.
all, it keeps it organized by customers. So we try to take very detailed photos, especially with COVID. A lot of times we can get the insurance companies to buy the roof without even stepping foot on the site because we just send them our photos and they're so well documented that they're just like, okay, we can approve it based on this. So it
Mm-hmm.
really organized. It helps our production. It helps our sales. It helps everything. So anyway, I actually shared one of my albums from a customer profile to one of my subs. Hey, get me the quote, whatever. And a couple of days later, he comes back. He says, "Hey, man, that Company Cam thing you've been sending me." He said, "I had to sign up. This thing is awesome, man."
Nah.
He said, "I've been using this every day." So it helped him as well. And I think it's for the price. I mean, like you said, you can get started for free, and if you want unlimited, it's extremely affordable. And I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely recommend it to anyone.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, and then also too, we can't forget about our guys at 60/60 Appraisal Group. I mean, how often do you reach an impasse with an insurance carrier, right? Either with a field adjuster or during the supplementation process. But either way, let's face it, claim departments are getting tougher and tougher to deal with every day and every year. So maybe it's time to utilize appraisal group into your workflow, right? So 60/60 appraisal group has decades of experience related to insurance claims, adjusting, cause and origin discovery, estimating, building, contracting, giving them a well-balanced perspective in valuing and appraising an insurance loss. So if you think appraisal might be right for your claim, reach out to 60/60 Appraisal Group by going to 60/60group.com. So yeah, what I was discussing though before was goal setting, right? So you were able to, not only hit your goals, but you were able to exceed those goals. So now in terms of, planning for next year, be strategic for next year. Do you have any goals in terms of what you're trying to achieve, or how you're trying to go about building out the team or adding additional resources for technology? What's your vision, I guess, for next year?
I think we're really at the cutting edge of technology and everything for roofing companies. Just like I said, getting involved in the roofing academy and things like that, I learned of so many technologies and all that are helpful for the industry. So I've gotten on board, and I named a few Sumo quote. Me and you work together with your company Suma, and part of the roofing academy, company cam. All of those things really make our job a lot easier. But as far as next year goes and planning for the future, I mean, we have big goals for the company, and I think our next move is going to be getting like an in-house office administrator at some point. We want to keep bringing on salesmen. We just brought our third guy on last month, and he's starting to get out there and kill it. So I'm just really proud of my team and proud of my guys. And as long as we can keep up the pace that we're at, I would say I don't really want to get more than probably one or two more sales guys over the next year, and just see if we can. The goal for next year is to do 2 million. So, based on this year, I think we can do it, and maybe going to bump that up a little bit at some point.
I love I love to hear that. So what about challenges, right? Obviously, it hasn't been all success for you. What do you think has been the biggest challenge in terms of launching a company and just anything in general in business for this first year?
Biggest challenge of starting the company? Well, first of all, it is starting the company, filing the LLC paperwork, and then if you have a current job, the day that you turn in that slip and tell them adios, it's game on at that point. So, man, you just have to swallow your pride and believe in yourself and just get out there and grind and make it happen. So that's what I did. I hit the ground running, put the right people in place, and it's helped us a lot. So, I would say the biggest challenge is just figuring out where you're at and where you're going. Begin with the end in mind. So you figure out where you want to see your company, and then just try to reverse engineer it till you get there. And obviously you're going to hit bumps along the road. Things aren't going to go smoothly on some jobs, and you're going to have trouble every now and then. But as long as you just stay focused and keep your eyes on the prize, so to speak, and just remember why you started.
So as we kind of close this thing out, one of the last things that we talk about is always about the golden nuggets. So something that you want to share with other roofing company owners out there that you feel like it could help them. It doesn't matter if it's not doing something, if it's implementing a new strategy, just learning from your experiences that you could give advice to for someone who is just about to start their company or is just getting going.
I would say for a moment there, early in the year, I got so caught up in growth and hitting these certain numbers that maybe we began to grow too fast, and it got a little chaotic and things like that. So I would say don't be worried about being as big as you can, as fast as you can. Just worry about doing what you need to do, taking care of your customers, and just kind of grow at a natural place and be putting those pieces in place to support the growth as it happens. And I would also just say, don't get discouraged if you lose bids to a company who's been around for 10 years. I mean, they've been around for 10 years. They have a public presence. So being one of the new guys, that we have to outsell, outperform, provide customer service, just everything we can to the top notch, and just make sure you're on your P's and Q's, and it'll come.
Well, Bailey, thank you so much for joining us on the Start Build Grow Show on episode 118. Like you were saying, you started listening to us, and it's an episode 70 or something, 80. and then you went out, you started your own company, man. We're extremely proud of you and all the success that you've had. Keep grinding, keep making it happen, man, and keep hitting those goals, man. I'm very proud of you.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys and all the support that I've had over this time.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 118 of the Start Build Grow Show. We had another fantastic guest, Bailey Masters with Top Tier Roofing. Thanks again, everybody.
Have a good one.